American. I was born and raised in Arizona, specifically Anthem, Arizona, and I had always been the only person in my grade of about a little less than 60 students. I had enrolled in the same elementary school since kindergarten, yet by the time I was in 5th grade, friends and classmates I had known for years still asked me the age-old question, where are you from? No, where are you really from? Now don't get me wrong, asking someone about their ethnic background is definitely not a negative. In fact, it's great to show genuine curiosity about other cultures. What I noticed about my experience with this question was that the tone of voice and the way that I was asked about where I was from didn't necessarily come with interest about my background, but rather a desire to simply confirm that I was foreign, or at least my parents were. And although they might not have held malice behind their words, that simple question pointed out a stark reality. They saw me as different from them. In their eyes, I was not from where they were from. And like any other kid, growing and developing, starting to learn about that school social hierarchy, I didn't want to be seen as different from everyone else. One of the most scary monsters was to be seen as different. Though it's not always a bad thing to be seen as different. The Norwegian Institute of Public Health conducted a study in 2012 studying around 4,500 adolescents from ages 13 to 19. Researchers found that public support from friends and hanging out with friends on your spare time is the strongest protective factor against mental illness among adolescents. Growing up, I found it hard to share aspects of my culture and essentially my identity with my friends. Little things like the fact that I took off my shoes before I entered the house, that I ate with chopsticks, and even my interests like my love for anime. And even though anime originates from Japan, it's a form of Asian culture that I really loved. All of these things I refused to share. I didn't want to increase the differences, the divide that I felt already separated me and my classmates. I hid behind a mask because I was scared that publicly displaying my true self would mean perpetuating stereotypes. One of the most common reasons why we hide behind masks is because of something called imposter syndrome, a condition where people feel like they don't belong, that they're fake, or even that they don't deserve their own success. But there are 3 practical reasons why we should get rid of our masks. First, getting rid of your mask allows you to live up to your full potential. A lot of people might have your same skill set, but you bring your own personality, creativity, and spirit. Second, living an inauthentic life can be exhausting. When you're always pretending to be something you're not, it's easy to forget who you really are. Third, when you don't genuinely express yourself, you build barriers, and it makes your relationships harder to be authentic. As Oscar Wilde once said, be yourself. Everyone else is taken. It wasn't until middle school that racial divides became more prominent. My close friends like to point out stereotypes, and I became the butt of an ongoing joke. And even though jokes may be funny, it isn't funny when people are laughing at you. I remember one time, I was sitting in a friend's room, and we were scrolling through Instagram. She came across a meme that she thought was really funny. In it, there was some sort of joke about Asians, and ever since then, there was a period of time when she would call me Ching Chong as if it were my name. In another instance, I was sitting in class one day, and a classmate I had known for a while suddenly asked me out of nowhere if I saw things in a wide lens. In the moment, I was really confused about what she meant. Wide lens? What does that mean? Because my eyes appeared smaller and more slanted than hers, she thought that I saw the world differently from her. All of these things, I don't believe that in either of these cases, people meant harm, but they do showcase ignorance. All of these interactions that I had on a daily basis were called microaggressions, a term defined as brief and commonplace daily and verbal indignities that communicate derogatory or negative prejudicial slights toward any group, whether intentional or unintentional. The difference between being culturally sensitive, insensitive, and approaching someone with a little more consideration can make a person's day. I know it would have made mine. In this environment, I was constantly reminded of my Asian background. It would have been easy to match the mannerisms and the humor of the people around me so that I wouldn't have to feel so isolated. I could never feel truly myself at school, and no matter how many people there were, I always felt like an outcast to some degree. Middle school and high school are generally confusing times. We're all just trying to figure out our likes and dislikes, thinking about who we are and who we want to be. It's in this time period that I like to think I went through a small revelation. I could have chosen to reject or embrace my culture, and I chose to embrace it. I didn't go through any big change. The simple act of remaining who I was and becoming more confident as that person has allowed me to become the person I am today. The difference was that I didn't try to repress my pride, my thoughts, and my culture as a Chinese American, an Asian American, and a child of immigrants. Instead, I valued everything that was me and accepted that there are unchangeable differences between people in general. Today, I'm proud to say that I still take off my shoes before I enter the house. I still eat with chopsticks, and I still watch anime. The summer going to freshman year of high school, my family and I made a huge decision. We decided that we needed some change, and so within a week of the start of freshman year, we packed our bags and we moved to a place called Diamond Bar. Now, Diamond Bar was really different from Anthem. First stepping into Diamond Bar High School, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I stepped out of a community where the Asian demographic made up 3% of the student body into a new environment with a 67% Asian demographic. But instead of feeling lonely about leaving my childhood home behind, I felt liberated being able to blend into a crowd for once. Though in this process, I had also lost the defining characteristics that I had used to define myself. I took a rebellious pride in the Asian heritage and appearance that people had made fun of. That rebellion became a huge part of who I was. But just being Asian wasn't enough to define me anymore. In a way, it was a good wake-up call. As Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Just as important to emphasize your individual identity, just as important to take pride in your culture, it's just as important to emphasize your individual identity. Building up that strong foundation of your morals, values, and culture will allow you to stay true to yourself, no matter where you find yourself headed. We've all experienced microaggressions, no matter what ethnicity you are. Each of us can draw our own boundaries for when a joke becomes an insult, but it's important to be socially aware in the grand scheme of things. We should make the effort to be educated and intentional about not being offensive towards other cultures. After all, each one is extremely valuable. Lastly, it's essential that we appreciate ourselves and our cultural identity, because they are great sources of our strength. The traditional term melting pot to describe America's cultural diversity has become outdated now that we're in 2019. It has a tone suggesting assimilation, and there's little distinction and differences are not always respected. Instead, it's more accurate to describe America as a salad bowl, where each element of the dish exists in harmony while preserving their unique characteristics. As Robert Allen once said, cultural differences should not separate us from each other. Rather, cultural diversity brings a collective strength that can benefit all of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Yana.